Where I'm going with this. I give this example out a lot. Just by having the terms used cars, pre-owned autos, and previously owned vehicles gives you all of the combinations of used cars, used autos, used vehicles, pre-owned autos, pre-owned cars, pre-owned vehicles, previously owned cars, previously owned autos, previously owned vehicles. Imagine writing every single one of these words on a tiny little sheet of paper, throwing them into a hat and saying, how many sentences could I unscramble with these? Okay? It doesn't have to be the terms in the exact order of importance. But just by simply giving people the combinations to find those within your metastructure, you're opening yourself up. Now, you might not do imports, you might not do pickups, you might not do exotic vehicles, but different people search for certain different terms. And you want to be found by everything, even though if you don't have it. Because once they're on their website, they're going to be looking around. You've already got them there, and who knows, they might fill out a credit application or call you. Make sure to give yourself the ability to be showcased to everybody. I have a lot of specialty dealers that I work with, and they say, well, I just want truck terms. Okay, well, that's great. Well, let them type in used cars and then sell them on the fact that they want a truck when they're at your website. Why not get that extra traffic? So give yourself the combinations. Now, the last one here is going to be different for every single one of you guys. And this is the location information. Column 3. First of all, city name. You always want to advertise to the city that you're in. You want to make sure the city name is included within your meta. Your state name spelled out. Different people search by either doing the initials or spelling things completely out. You obviously want your state initials. Sometimes, like in Oregon, is the word OR. Well, you type that in, you're going to match a lot of other things other than just the state. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily recognize if it's also a word in itself, which are your state initials. LA for Louisiana. Well, a lot of people type in LA that are in Los Angeles. So you want to give people the opportunity a little bit, so you want to make sure you put all of those in there. Now, you also want to put your county name. How many of you here have ever been to Orange County? That's where I'm from. Anyone here? Okay. Well, there was a show about it. Everyone refers to it as Orange County. Well, it's made up of Tustin, Santa Ana, Anaheim, Laguna Hills, Laguna Niguel, Orange. No one searches by that. In my area, they search by county. In your city, they might not search by county. They might search by your city. You want to give them the opportunity. Now, because you are limited to characters, a county name makes up about 10 city names traditionally. So you get more bang for your buck. It's a power pack punch using up less characters because you're only limited to a certain amount. So depending upon where you guys are from, think of it in that fashion as well. You don't have to use all of these, but think about what are the people typing in. You might be in a tiny little city that there's only a population of 5,000 people, but there might be a city with 700,000 within 10 minutes from you. Would they be willing to drive to my dealership to purchase a car? Think of it in that aspect as well when you're putting this information in and choosing these surrounding cities and whatnot. Now, surrounding county name. Excuse me. Surrounding city name. Now, with the city names, you usually want to use 2. So put in an additional surrounding city name. Usually there's a kind of a gray area when it comes to this. You do want to make sure that you do get your demographic area. And a good statistic to write down next to this is 72% of the population are internet users. So when you're putting in these city names, think about it. Maybe do some research. If you go to Google, it's very simple, and type in what is the population of and include the city, guess what the number one answer is going to tell you? How many people live in that city? Times that by 72%, there you got your demographic. So make sure that you're choosing cities with the large demographic because you want to make sure to cater your website to as many people as possible. City name plus state initials. Now this is going to be in a comma separated value with a space between them because different people do search with either typing in either the city name or the state name or the initials or without. You want to make sure you have all the opportunities here. County name plus state initials and your zip code. Now, Google is one of the only search engines that actually allows you to use numbers in your metastructure. Bing doesn't, Yahoo doesn't. They don't recognize them. Zip code's always a good one, but if not, your phone number. If you want to know who somebody is, you Google their number, you can traditionally find their website. So that's going to be a little bit easier for your clients that know your number that are trying to find your website if it's not written on your information. But following these 3 rules, 10 times 10 times 10 equals what, guys? 1,000. Now, with these here, it's going to change a little bit depending upon the length of your city. If you're in Birmingham, Michigan, it might change. If you're in Toledo, Ohio, you're only allowed a certain amount of characters. So count those out. You don't have to use all of these, but kind of following these rules, as I mentioned, any combination of all of these together. And you'd be surprised if I go to a lot of your guys' websites and take a look, you probably have a sentence on there. We sell used cars in X city. You're only using a percentage of what you can be. So take a chance, review that. Now that you guys know where to find the metastructure, you should be able to visit your site and get this information after you write it out, maybe hold a meeting, consult with your business about it, and make sure, number one, to put it in. Now, SEO tips for success. The first one was metastructure, and that was the one we went over. I wanted to go a little bit more further detail, but there are 2 through 8 unique meta tags for every page. Now, you want to have a meta tag for each page, but you want to make sure that there is a unique character on each page. Each page has to have the metastructure pertaining to that page. Now, the most common advice that I give is if you guys went out right now and bought a 200-page book, okay, and you sat down to read it and you started flipping through and it had the same words on every page, how many people here would actually read it to the end? Okay, what do you think the robots do when they visit your website? They crawl your site. If they think that they've already been on a page, guess what they do? They leave. So if it's a home page, you need to have some indications about that it's a home page. If it's an application page, you need to make sure you have metastructure pertaining to the credit applications and use the same philosophy, but just for other things. Bad credit financing, buy here, pay here financing, in-house finance credit financing, second chance auto financing. You know, different pages can also pull up in the search engines. Okay. Now, number 3 is business location information. I caught part of the end of the social media class where they were talking about text. Search engines can traditionally only read text, but just as of recently, Google teamed up with Adobe and they're reading what's called Flash. And Flash is a compressed image that has words or numbers in it. Now, the way you can tell if it's Flash or if it's text is you can try to right-click and highlight over it. How many here know how to copy and paste? Okay? When you go on your website, if your business location information is embedded within a graphic, try to highlight over it. If you can highlight over it, you're good. If not, you can call your website provider and say, hey, look, can I get that switched out to text? Because they're not going to be able to read it otherwise. Okay? So you want to make sure some people, they put great terms like used cars, pre-owned autos, previously owned vehicles, cars, trucks, vans, SUVs, but they forget to put their location information. What that means is you're competing with the entire world. So make sure you give them the options, but make sure you're very clear and specific on your local demographic of where you want to pull up. Now, clearly written web page content. Now, metastructure is like saying what a title is to a book. The next thing that they do is they read your page content. You actually have to use grammatical English. Okay? Some people go in and they just type those terms over and over again on their website. Used cars, used cars, used cars, used cars. Well, that's considered spamming. A black hat tactic, I know I touched on some points of that earlier, would be to use black text on a black background and use keywords and terms within the site so the search engines can read it, but you can't. They look for those types of things. Now, keyword density is the art of the search engine saying, what do they have? What are they claiming they have? They read your metastructure. And they say, well, if they're saying that they sell used cars and they're in Salt Lake City, they should be able to find the terms used cars, Salt Lake City, more frequently throughout the content of their site than anything else because they're saying that that's the number one thing they do. They're not, if you don't have those terms on the content of your site, well, guess what? They're going to say, you know what, he's saying he has something, but he doesn't, I can't find it. So keyword density is the art of taking those terms and frequently hiding them throughout the content of your text. Now, you can be a little bit overkill and you can be a little bit redundant, but as long as you're in an English language, it's going to be completely fine. We have the best used cars in all of Utah. If you're looking for a used car, look no further. We also sell cars, trucks, vans, SUVs. You know, as long as it's in a normal English language, you can do that. And it basically gives you an average on your website. If you're saying your title tags have that on the page, you better have that on the page. I'm just telling you right now. If it's found a lot, they give you a grade just like a teacher would be grading a paper. Well, he gets a B+ because we found it 7 times. Oh, well, he gets a D- because we found that term once. So go through your pages. Now, a great way to do that is while you're looking at the page, you guys want to write this down, hit Control and the F button. Control F stands for, it's a find key. Okay? Now, while you're on that web page, you're going to notice a box pop up on your browser, and it's going to let you type whatever you want in there. If you were to type in the word used cars and hit show all, it'll highlight them on your page and it'll show you how many times that found that word. So that's a great tool if you want to actually analyze your website, go to it, look for these keywords on your site to say, hey, am I telling people that I even have used cars and I'm in, you know, Brockway, Pennsylvania? You will be later on, buddy, I'll tell you that. No. Now, page count and density. You get a grade based upon each page. Page count and density is an average of your site. If you have 10 pages and you got a D- and a C+ and an A-, your whole site gets an actual grade as well. So by going through and making sure that each page has